This usually doesn't happen in real life. There's like a foggy looking thing near the horizon. So we have to recreate that, okay? And how we're going to do that is we're going to go over to this new layer option, okay? So we're going to create a new layer. And then what we're going to do is we have this nice tool called the gradient tool. We're going to select this. Make sure that on this foreground, your color is set to white or a light color at least, but white is fine. And then what this gradient tool does is, if I just hold down my mouse with this new layer selected, so we're doing this on a new layer so that we can change its opacity and do all these things independently, okay? I'm just going to drag this tool like this upwards and boom. What you get is you get this nice little, that faded horizon look that you have. Okay, and because we're doing this under the mask, so it's only coming on the sky part. It's not affecting our foreground in any way. And I'm just going to decrease, because this is on a new layer, I can decrease the opacity of this layer. So right now this is too strong. We want something like this. Okay, you can see this just gives it that realistic look. You can see if I show you without, this looks too sudden, the change. And if I do it with this, it looks much better. And how much opacity you want, that depends on you, right? You can, that's kind of subjective. Some people like it more, some people like it less. You can even change the color. You don't have to go for white. If you want to use like a bit of an orange color, you can select orange here and do it also. I'm going to stick with white right now, because usually I've seen the ocean looks more whitish from this part, okay? And also, if you see, this actually kind of gives that sky a faded look, which looks more realistic, right? And ultimately, and one more step we're going to do just to make this more realistic is to decrease the opacity of the sky also, because this was too strong, right? So we're just going to decrease the opacity of this layer also just slightly. Not this much, maybe something like this, okay? You can see before, after. So, I mean, this is not really needed here, but I'm just still going to make it to 95. At least I want to decrease the opacity, because to be frank, if the perspectives of both the shots are not exactly the same, we were facing that bit of a problem here in this shot, because it was not exactly, it was something like 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, right? The sunset of 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock was this image. So we were close, but not that close. So I just want to fade out the sky a bit so it just looks more realistic. Okay, our aim is always in a composite is to not make things dramatic. Our first job, it can be to make dramatic, but that has to be the second aim. The first aim has to be to make it realistic, because if it's dramatic but not realistic, it's going to look very bad. But if it's realistic and not dramatic, that is still forgivable. And we are going to make this dramatic, but not right now. We're going to make this dramatic, the sky dramatic inside Lightroom in the steps that will follow from now. Okay, but not here. Right now, we just want to achieve a good, realistic composite. And I think we have been able to do that. Let's slightly zoom out and see this. I think this looks fantastic, right? And now, if we go over to our document, so we've created the composite. Do you want to add any filters or effects? I don't think so. Not in this image. So we'll probably see that in the future. Cleaning the image, again, I don't think there's anything to be cleaned here, right? Maybe once we can just zoom in and check our horizon. So this is perfect. This is perfect. This is perfect. Maybe just here, if you notice this, maybe we can just correct this part. So what we can do is we can create an absolutely new layer, stamp all these layers together first of all, okay? Because we just want to use the clone stamp on the overall image. We don't have to worry about finding out which layer this is on and then copying it and all these things. So you can do that also. But I'll just be slightly destructive here in my workflow. I'm going to stamp all these layers onto a new layer by pressing Control, Alt, Shift, and E. That'll be Command, Option, Shift, and E. So we get this new layer, which has got nothing now to do with these. It's a combination of all 4 layers, okay? And now I can use clone stamp on this. So slightly destructive way I'm doing it, but it's kind of easy because it's the last step, okay? So clone stamp just means we can copy paste. So if I select a source by pressing the Alt or the Option key, I can select it from here, and I can just paint this in. Select it from here. Paint this in. Okay. Select it probably from somewhere like here, somewhere from, and then just drag it like this. Okay, maybe. Okay, so that's how with using the clone stamp, you can just fix some part of the horizons if your selection did not do a good job. Now I'm happy with this. We're done with this 4th step. Now we're going to take it back to Lightroom in order to start the color grading and the local adjustments process. So we're going to just click on save. That's it. Click on save. And if you go back over to Lightroom now, you would see an image come here once the save option is done. So it's still saving because it's taking a lot of time. And you can see we've got our file here right from Photoshop over here, all ready to go inside the develop module. And now we're going to edit this also. So I'll see you in the next video where we'll start color grading this shot.